Hey, what's up guys? It's Nick here from Mind Body One, and today we're going to talk about something called error parking. Now, have you ever had a time where you made a mistake, whether it be in your sport performance, your job, or daily life, and it took you off your game? You were so focused on what went wrong, and you made that mistake. You made another mistake, and another, and they all piled up, and you had a whole pile of trash worth of mistakes on your hands. So this is where error parking comes in, because we want you to get rid of those mistakes. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to attend to them, because I'm big on preaching that you need to acknowledge what happened to get through it and then get over it. But a lot of times people tend to just say disregard it, but usually when you ignore something, it's going to come back and reoccur. I'm big on breaking down what happened and led up to said mistake or occurrence. If you can pinpoint what went wrong and then reframe it and build upon it, whether it be a physical skill or a thought process, then you have a better chance of succeeding and giving an optimal performance. Now, how does error parking exactly work? Now, in sports psychology, it's typically used as a visualization technique for you to attend to a task or mistake in your mind and see it actually being disposed of. So the simplest way you can see it as a piece of paper being balled up and thrown in the trash. Now, that thought is that piece of paper. If you made a mistake, you passed the ball to the wrong team and had a turnover, or you failed the test, you have to park that error by dismissing it, but you first acknowledge it. So if I know I made a bad pass, I need to see, okay, what did I do? Was I being double teamed? Was I overwhelmed? Was I just slacking and not paying attention? What was it? That way you can attribute actual thought to what happened. Then, once you've gotten what happened, you need to ball up that piece of paper. You can see this in your mind. You're seeing this really happen in your mind's eye, and then you throw it in that trash. Now that means it's being disposed of. Now, just like trash, you can get more of it. Like if I ate a bag of potato chips, I eat it, then I throw the bag in the trash. Does that mean I'm not going to eat again or have another object I'm going to throw away again? No, you are. So mistakes can reoccur, but the goal is, can I identify said mistakes, and when they do happen, I can park them, put them away, refocus on what's happening. Because we always talk about refocusing and getting our heads back in the game, but we're going to talk about how to tangibly do that. Now, the reason this could be an issue is because cognitively, when you're overloaded with stimuli, whether it be in a sport, having different defenders trying to guard you, the plays being called, trying to focus on what you're doing individually, it could get overwhelming. Now, if we add in the fact that we have to attend to other things that may not be relevant in the moment, such as a mistake, we have to get back on task. So this is what happens. Our brain takes in so much stimuli, it has to pick and choose what it wants to attend to. Now, if you're attending to the mistake itself, yes, it may have some relevance to the task because it is a byproduct of what you did wrong, but is that going to help you in the next sequence or next play or next situation? Probably not, but you want to take from it. So by parking it, you take some of that stress and that cognitive load off of you. But it's typically we're in the fight or flight response state, and this is triggered by so many different things, especially when we're physically active or performing. We tend to focus on what's right in front of us. Now, the less capacity you have to focus on that said stimulus, the worse you're probably going to do. Now, how we're going to make this relative and tangible, because I'm big on taking the intangible things and making them in real world applications. We're going to do a task with Julianna, who is one of my MMA fighters. She's going to use the Hiko stick to do a cognitive reactive hand-eye coordination drill. But as I always do it, I add more working memory cues. But as she's doing it, she's going to attend to any mess ups or mistakes or negative or unproductive thoughts that she has. And she's going to have balled up pieces of paper representing these thoughts, and she's actually going to throw them in a trash can. So for example, if she drops the Hiko stick, it's going to take that piece of paper, throw it in the trash, park that error, and get back to it. So now we're not just visualizing and thinking it, we're actually doing it. And you might say, what's the point of that? Is that kind of distracting in itself? You could say yes, maybe, but think about it. When we rewire our brains, a lot of people use the term neuroplasticity, and I definitely understand how that works, and people use it all the time as kind of a buzzword. But when you use the term neuroplasticity, it just means you're rebuilding and rewiring the brain to have the capacity to do something else. Now, think about this. If you had a dream or a nightmare, you usually have the physical responses in said dream or nightmare in the real world. Like if you're getting chased by a lion or a tiger, you might wake up out of that nightmare and your heart's beating through your chest, you're breathing rapidly. That's because your brain was prepping for said action regardless of what was happening. Now, while we're doing that same concept with the mental capacity of error parking, now we're going to bring it back and make it physical. So every time she does make a mistake or has an unproductive thought, you might notice she may still catch the Hiko stick, but then throw a piece of trash in the garbage because she thought about something that was unproductive and detrimental to catching it. So regardless if she executed properly or not, that thought was still detrimental. I always tell this to my clients, some people need the unproductive or negative thoughts to execute, and the minute you rely on that, you take the control away from you. So I don't want them to do that. Now, how the Hiko stick task works is there's 3 colors, red, green, and blue. Now, when it's tossed to Jana, she's gonna catch it based off the color she hears. That's the first way to do it. Just get her used to it. Now, as we progress, we're gonna change it up. For example, if she calls out the blue color, she's gonna have to catch it with her left hand. Now there's some decision making being involved, some higher cognitive load on top of worrying about your thoughts in the moment. Now you can see how we're overwhelming her cognitively on top of the psychological and emotional stressors is bringing it all full circle. So she has to adapt, accommodate, and execute in real time and mindfully and physically control her thoughts. And on the last variation, you see me come in and I use my hands being a cue. So this is something we call cognitive flexibility because the hand I use is going to dictate what she does to catch it. So in this condition, if I throw it with my right hand and call red, she's going to use her left hand to catch. If I throw it with my left hand and I call green, she uses her left hand to catch. So the same cue to catch with is dictated by which hand I throw, but with different colors. I know this may be a little overwhelming, but think about how she has to do it in real time while still controlling her thoughts. So we see that she's able to do the task, and even if she messes up, the goal is can she stay in the moment? And you'll notice that she sometimes gets out of it, but then she gets right back to it. She'll throw the trash away, and you can even see some facial expression. So the goal of this drill is making those intangible mental states physical, and you can read your client and you can coach them up with the skills that they may need to accommodate these different mood states. Now, the duration of each set with the Hiko sticks is 1 minute long, and I try to spread them out so she has enough time to recover, catch the Hiko stick, throw it back, and if she makes an error, she'll throw the trash away. So make sure you're mindful of how much time they need to get reset for each throw. Alright guys, now let's recap what we just saw. Jana was given a hand-eye coordination reactive task that required her to catch a Hiko stick based off the colored call. Now we advanced it by using specific hands, and then being even more advanced by using different hands that I use to dictate what she does. So she has to attend to all those. So that alone gave her a high cognitive load. Now errors do happen. The goal of error parking was to be able to take said error or mistake, attend to it, deal with it, and put it away. Now, in this task, we made it real. Each paper ball, she was able to attend to a thought. Now, the goal was not just to throw it away haphazardly. I wanted her to internalize each mistake, give real credence to it in that moment, and get rid of it. So in between sets, I gave her some cues, I coached her up, I got inside her head and saw what exactly made her mess up, or what exactly did she think when that happened. That way we can understand, because the more we understand about what we do, the easier it is to reframe it and fix it down the road. And we're getting actual physical reps. Like I say, make the intangible tangible. So thanks guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And as usual, as I say, get your mind right.